The STEM.T4L Immersive Virtual Reality Kit has access to 2 different app stores, depending upon the VR content that you're looking for. So let's have a look at both of those 2 app stores to understand what the requirements are and how you can get content onto your laptop. You can see on mine, I've got an app called Nature Treks, that's from Steam. I've got one called Situ, that's from the other app store called Company Portal. So let's have a look at both of those 2. The first one, Company Portal, it's like an app, like any other app. The Company Portal app has got a lot of different apps in it that are not specifically virtual reality. So you do need to know which apps to look for. So visit the STEM.T4L Learning Library for a list of which apps in here are VR apps. Okay, top left-hand corner, of course, you can search for them by name. So if you want to install Situ, which is the main app to explore the content created with 360 cameras, that's the app there. It doesn't have a thumbnail. A lot of the VR apps don't have thumbnails. They just have these gray squares. So that's Situ 360. So that's one way to find them, is to do a search. The other way is to click on the apps option on the left-hand side, and you'll get a list of all of the apps which you can sort by name, oldest and newest, those sorts of things. There's no way to sort just for VR apps, unfortunately. But when you scroll through them, First Nations VR, I highly recommend this as a immersion in First Nations language and culture. It's a very well produced app by the Department of Education, actually. Up the top, you can swap between tile view and list view. So if you want to be able to search through them with more on the screen, you can do that. On the left-hand side, you can click downloads and updates to see what is currently installed on the device. So these are all the apps that I've already installed. The Rose and I is another app I would recommend. It's a really beautiful animation in 360 degrees. Another one that I would recommend is Life VR. It has a whole series of really impressive 360-degree films. If you find an app that you want to install it, just click on the app itself, and then you'll get the install button here. You do need to be an admin in order to install apps on the device. So make sure you request admin access, and you can do that by visiting t4l.link/STEM help. Any teacher can request admin access on the VR laptops. Sometimes installing a new app can take a while, so I would always install the app the day before you plan on using it, just so you don't start the lesson and install the app expecting to use the app in that same lesson. Once apps are installed, they will appear in the start menu, just like any other app. All right, let's have a look at the next app store, and that is the Steam store. Now, to have access to the apps on our Steam store, you do need to apply, first of all, for a VPN account. And there are instructions on how to do that on our SharePoint site. So when you go to the Kits menu and you click on Immersive VR, there are some instructions where if you scroll down, accessing Steam apps in the DOE, you will need to apply, but your principal can grant access using the Manage Staff Access app in their portal. Teachers, you can request access in the Manage My Access, so MMA, in your portal, and there's information about how to do that on the website here. So once you've been given that access, you'll receive a confirmation email that tells you that you get it. You only need to apply once. We never remove access from you once you've got it, it'll always be there. So let's have a look what that looks like. The VPN, it's called OpenVPN. It's either in the bottom right-hand corner, or it's living in this little arrow up thing. So sometimes it might be here. I usually like to drag it down here because I always want to see that it's there. If it's not there, then use this orange and blue keyhole icon to launch it. So double left click on the icon, and it asks for my full name, for my full email address, and my current school password. So here at STEMT4L, we don't control this at all. Every time you change your school password, the password for the VPN will also change. Again, this only works in the department. So if you take the VR kit home, then the VPN won't connect and you won't have access to the department licensed apps. You'll be able to use Steam, but you'll need to use other apps that you have your own licenses to. Okay, I'm always looking for that little green icon there. It tells me that I'm connected to the Steam VPN. Now, if I launch Steam, and I'm already signed into Steam, and on the left-hand side, I can immediately see the heading from STEMT4L, and there are 32 titles available to use. So that's immediate confirmation that I'm connected to the VPN and I have access to the licensed apps for our classrooms. The second thing to check as soon as you sign in is that top right-hand corner. Do you see Family View? The green icon with the three people profiles. That Family View means that the Steam app is locked and students can't go to the store, for example, to download inappropriate content. And that was our main goal, is to make sure that our classrooms stayed safe learning environments, even though we are introducing a new teaching and learning tool. So always make sure that green icon is there before you walk away and let students use the laptop themselves. If it hasn't appeared and you are connected to the VPN, then what's happened is Steam signed in before the VPN connected. The solution is head over to the Steam menu itself and exit the application completely. Because if I just close it and it looks like it's closed, it's actually still running down the bottom here. And so sometimes you actually need to right click and hit exit Steam and then sign in again after making sure the VPN is running first. All right, so we know that we're connected to STEMT4L. We know we're in Family View, so we're in safe mode. Let's look at some of the other features. Two things that you always want to see. Let me just tick tools. I want to see tools, software, and games. Those are the three things that I want to see, because down the bottom, I should always see Steam VR, and right now my version happens to be updating. And I should always see Windows Mixed Reality. These two applications will always be, or should always be, running and available in the background. So if I'm going to use a tool like Tilt Brush will then use Windows Mixed Reality for Steam VR, and it will use Steam VR as supporting applications. So those two need to always be there, and they always need to be kept up to date. Like my Steam VR is updating right now, which is good. The next thing to note, for example, with Tilt Brush, is that it is already installed on this device. And there's two ways that I know that. First of all, the play button is there and it's green, but also the title is white. You can see that the letters of Tilt Brush, they are white. These other letters are gray. So Paradiddle, for example, which is a drumming music app. So you can play drums in VR. the letters are written in grey, but the button is blue and it says install. Nature Treks is white and green, so I can hit play. The reason this is important is because if you plan to use an app, make sure it's installed before the lesson. Don't try and install the Night Cafe in the middle of your lesson and then hope that kids use it in that lesson, because these apps can take some time to install. So this is about being prepared. Okay, so let's have a look at when we download an app, what does that look like? Let's say I want to download Ocean Rift and do some underwater explorations. I can see that it's 1.42 gigabytes. So when I hit the install button, it'll tell me how much space I've got on my local drive. So yes, I've got 743 gig free. That's terrific. I'll create a desktop shortcut and a start menu shortcut. Fine. Hit install and it will begin to install. So I can see the progress up here, but I can also see the progress down the bottom. So if I click this downloading down the bottom, I can see the speed, how fast it's downloading, and how much network traffic it's using. But I can also see what other titles might be downloading, and this page shows you the list of different things. So if you're downloading 3 or 4 things at once, they will all appear on this page and you can see how long it's going to take. In this case, because I've got some really good network speed, it's only going to take another minute and 10 seconds to install Ocean Rift, but your school network might be different to mine, so it's good to know how long it's going to take to download. Well, I hope you enjoy the titles that we have been able to curate for you. Please feel free to reach out to us either in the Facebook group or in the Viva Engage group. Just do a search, STEMT4L, and ask questions or share screenshots of what your kids are building and making and creating and experiencing with VR. You can also reach out to us via our help desk, which is t4l.link/STEM help, if you have any questions or need any clarification on how to use the 2 app stores.